Calling the meeting to order at 4:45. Leslie and I are here. Mark couldn't make it. No comments from the public. I don't think there's any old business. Press
Nope.
recommendations.
Okay, so we have quite a list. If we go through the list, a lot of these are going to be because of change in state law.
Okay.
So we're obligated to align our policy with state law. The other piece is changing from No Child Left Behind to ESSA. So a lot of the changes we're making are basically mandatory changes by law. So we'll go through. First one is board member development. 2/120. So basically they just eliminated a sentence that took off the date. If it was after a date, we're beyond that, so that's irrelevant. They added a section on board member training with regard to Senate Bill 100, which we're obligated to add, which we've done some of that already. The next one is by state law 2125, board member compensation. So basically it specifies what is allowable for board members, and things have to be approved at a board meeting. So before, all of the travel was just taken as standard operating procedure. Now we'll have to add this and vote on whether we approve it or not at a board meeting. So it's going to be an agenda item.
Okay. So as before, it didn't have to be approved at a board meeting?
It was
It didn't have to be approved by anybody, it just...
Well, you would approve it with all of the bills after the expenses were completed. So in the monthly bills, when we approve our monthly bills, all of those would be put in there. Now, if people are traveling, we approve the travel prior to. So they have to take a board vote on whether people are allowed to travel or not.
Okay.
Okay?
That's
so
what we have to do starting now.
starting now.
So
Right
are
now.
we,
What about as far as the, okay. So that's today,
We're
January
adopting 2/125.
or as of the meeting, which is the
The
17th.
policy will be approved at the board meeting.
Yeah, we can't do it prior to the policy, so it would start in February.
Okay, starting in February.
Okay?
and the amount?
And then the
you said-
amount is what we have to include. So I asked Tom to give us our traditional amount. The traditional amount for board members was 1,700 individual board members. But it was 12,000 total, but we never really put a cap on that. It was just the cap was the $1,200. So now this policy is asking us to put it in our $12,000.
$12,000.
$12,000. So take 12,000 and divide it, it comes out to 1,700 a piece
Okay, it's for a year.
a year.
A year for the whole board, all the board members, or everybody?
Just the board. This is
Board policy.
this is board. There's another policy later on for administrators.
But
So $12,000 split between seven board
ways.
members.
Which really takes us through if you do a pre-conference, a 2 or 3 night stay, and do the Triple I conference, you're right
over
at
that.
you're right at that. Yeah.
you're not over?
Well, not everybody does. See, we never looked at it individually. We looked at the total
was
number.
total.
We didn't go over the total number because not everybody did pre-conferences or stayed 3 nights. It kind of worked itself out.
But in other words, I mean, if it would be almost impossible to go to a national conference for $1,700 with airfare, hotel.
So what about-
Unless it's in Milwaukee.
So we're
or-
precluding, then you can't go to national conference?
Is it transferable? So it's it's just to say, some people don't go, or some people do go.
It's completely up to the board.
It's up
so
to the
there's
board. So if Evelyn, or if I say Evelyn can represent us at the whatever meeting. We won't all go, or all have the opportunity to go, but we can choose whether we want to go or not. And if there's money still left in
If you
there,
want to bypass if you want to go to the national and not go to the
state.
things like that, or we can.
But you couldn't go, even if I bypass state, I couldn't go to national for $1,700
No.
in most cases.
No.
It
No.
would be
I
impossible.
mean,
Right.
last year, I had figured out it was originally it was going to be $2,300, and I got it down to I think I got it down to 17, but that was because somebody was willing to
You
share
were
a
gonna
room.
share a room.
I was going to share a room and
Mhm.
transportation with somebody. We were going to split.
I'm just giving you the number that was the traditional number.
Yeah.
You know, if the committee wants to up that number. Do you do? I mean, there's many ways that you could slice it.
Slice it.
Where if everybody serves a 4-year term, you go to one national and a 4-year term.
And it's optional.
You know, I mean, you could put in any restrictions like that, or once.
I mean, I've been through it. I know there are people that have abused it, and no matter what they turned in, it was just paid.
Right.
I don't, I'd rather it's something that we can live with, but I don't.
We need to probably renegotiate a different number. But with the participation and with that, we'll have to pull out that sheet that you had constructed before about what the average spending was. Do I have it on there? I might have it on. What the average spending was versus, because with the
No.
1,700.
Do we have to put a number in? Does the law require
Yeah,
that?
the law requires that now.
Based on past practice.
Right.
But is that required, that it's based?
No, that was
Really,
our,
I mean,
that was our attorney recommendation.
If we wanted to go back to past practice, that didn't exist
Right. No,
because
this is our.
I've been to both.
That's our attorney recommendation. We can do what we want.
Where's the attorney recommendation? I haven't seen it.
No, that.
The superintendent sets an
Sets a-
amount based on past practice.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't feel comfortable setting anything other than what we were doing. You know, this is what we've done since I've been here.
Right.
So, another $2,000. So this equals $12,000. If you said everybody can go to a national conference every year and you set the price at $2,000 for a national, and I don't even know if that's a.
No,
Is it
that's-
3,000? Is
I-
it 5,000? 5,000 could be 35,000. You're looking at 47,000 from 12,000. I don't feel comfortable.
It varies.
No,
Uh-huh. It varies because depending on what state, and they travel now.
Right.
They used to just go to 3 states and you knew what the price
Right.
was. And
Right.
now they're going to I
Colorado,
think,
San Francisco.
Colorado, San Francisco, Texas.
Right.
You go to San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
on business trips or non-business.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is triple.
You can't get a breakfast. That's what I
You
just
can't
said.
get
You get
breakfast for
breakfast for
$12.
$40.
Yeah,
in San
$40. It's
Francisco.
just
Right.
not. Mm-mm.
Well, it used to be. It was San Francisco, San Diego, New Orleans, and Florida, and Orlando. Those were the 4 spots, and it just
Rotate.
now they're all over the place.
Well, we never know. And I mean, you'll know the year or two before you'll know where the next city is.
Can we? But that doesn't help us. Can we?
How can we?
Can we put in a number that allows for, let's say, 2 board members per year to attend a national conference if they choose?
If they
so
choose.
the conglomerate number would grow by, I don't know, maybe
$10,000.
that's
5,000
probably
apiece?
too much. I think I don't.
4,000?
You can't do it for 1,700, but I think you could easily do it for
For 3?
2,500.
Depending on where it is. And
But even so, I mean, we went to Las Vegas and stayed at Mandalay Bay for 3 days and paid conference expense, and it was less than
It was for the
$1,800.
park district, right?
Yes.
For the park district.
So, when you add it all up, 3 what?
National.
Oh,
So what if we do this? If we can put together some language that would say you're going to maintain the 1,700, which is the state, and you can have up to 20, no more than 2 members in any 1 year, and you can't go consecutive years if somebody else wants to go.
Well,
Could it be
I'll
one
kill-
time in your 4-year term?
It could be one time, but
What if somebody doesn't want to go? This is my thing. What if somebody doesn't want to go, or they just
Well, that's what he said.
that's what I'm saying. You set up a rotation.
a rotation?
So 2 can go every year,
Okay.
and I don't know how we would figure out which 2 went first. But after that, if you can go consecutive years if people that are in your turn don't want to use their turn. I don't know how we put that into language.
Or, but the main thing is the bottom line. The bottom line is the amount.
The bottom line is we're not going to go over an extra $5,000
Annual.
in national conference.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Is it
I'm talking about,
5,000 between 2 people? It's
Right.
not 5,000 per
Correct.
person.
it's not per
Okay.
person, right?
Right,
I
2,500.
think 5,000 per person is too much.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I just
Right.
want to make sure. It's
So
clear
say
on
we
that.
have a year like we did this past year, where only how many people went to state, and
Everybody.
so many
Everybody went to state.
everybody went to state.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Just say, okay, you don't have pre-conference, you got conference, or somebody just didn't use their pre-conference monies or whatever monies were not used in state, local, and to go to national. Can we roll over? Do we have a rollover plan?
That's what we had before.
Okay.
Okay, so now I think what the best practice would recommend is you set a number, and then you create a vote for that next piece. So 3 people want to go to
To national.
nationals. 2 are already taken care of because of the rotation,
Okay.
but we know we have extra money. Does the board want to consider allowing a 3rd person to go? That would require a vote.
Because I don't think we should. I think we should not limit people to not go if they can, if we have the finances.
Yeah, we want to maximize the finance. We want to maximize the fairness. And we want to keep the money at a reasonable dollar amount. So those
right.
are the 3 things we're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
And well, the 4th thing is we want to be transparent and let the public know what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So,
So
Can the line about who goes just be as determined by the board? On a rotating basis as determined by the
something
board?
like that,
Something
right.
kind of generic.
Right.
yeah, something generally
Yeah.
stated, because see,
So
But
it's
maybe
not
we
gonna
have
should
a-
put in as determined by the board at the first meeting of the school year. I mean, it's got to be, they can't come up and say,
At the
oh,
last minute.
in March,
Right.
oh, yeah, you're going to go.
Right.
We have to say when they're going to make this decision.
right, the decision
Or
needs to
when
be
they're gonna
made
have that
before
discussion.
really by December, because before December,
I would say October 1st.
October 1st, because that's the fiscal.
Well, if the board decides, then you can get your best rates and do all
Right.
your
Yeah.
appropriate.
I mean, the money is in the, if you put that in the budget, it's there.
right.
But whether it's used and who's going, that's a year by year. Like,
Yeah.
it might be my turn this year, but I'm up for election. It doesn't look good,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. So I wouldn't want to go. So I might bow out, but then that opens the door for somebody else. Well, you can say, oh, we're going to do it alphabetically, but I think more often than not, it's going to come up to you're up, you're up, you're up. None of you are going to go. I think it's going to be more of that kind of thing. I can't get the time off. I don't want to go, but
Yeah.
so
and then why you want to go to
needs a
because
discussion.
different people can represent different things, because if
That's
you
true.
say I want to go, so why are you going? It's not a vacation, it's actually a learning experience, and it's actual professional development. So that's what we're trying to develop in our board, and to come back with something that's tangible. I'm just saying for the whole thing.
Right, you're right.
Because you might have a person that's a governor rep, you might have a person that's the president or something like that. But why are we going? What are we trying to establish here?
But the only problem with that, Leslie, is if you haven't been,
yeah, if you haven't
you
been,
have no idea what you can get from
Right.
it if you haven't been there.
if you haven't been, you don't. You really don't. And then I don't want it to be a situation where, how do I word this? That you have certain people that might just don't want you to go. you know, you might contribute wonderfully, or the board members might contribute wonderfully. You might have those 3 board members or 2 board members that contribute wonderfully, but they might not get to go. But I think it should be fair,
Any other-
and it should be rotated.
Well, like you said, if we have I think the rotation is a good idea,
Yeah.
but there has to be some play in there because
Yeah.
there are other
Any other monies to be
circumstances.
requested and allocated by October 1st?
Any other?
Any other monies, so it's $1,700 for the state per,
Mm-hmm.
2,500
For 2 board
times
members.
2. If people request, those monies can be allocated by the October meeting. So if the requests are made by October 1st, you have to declare by October 1st if you're going to the state. If you're not going to the state, those monies can then be reallocated.
Oh.
Wait,
Is
I have to know
October-
in June when people are going to state.
Mhm.
I send in everything in
In
June
June 17th
for
was this year.
November.
I remember that one. June 17th is, I think, when they open it up, because you have to.
About-
Does that have anything to do with the hotel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mostly to do with the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So if a person, are you saying that if a person wants to go to a national, they're not going to state?
No.
Okay.
Everybody is
Everybody
getting
can go to state.
$1,700 per state. If one year 4 people go to state, there's 1,700 times
And 3.
3 available.
So a third
So if
person
a
could
third
go to
So if the
person
national.
third
go,
person
gotcha.
wants to allocate
That's
that money and
I
go
like
to
that.
national,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be done by October 1st, and then we're up.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem
Make me.
fair, reasonable?
Just
I
for
don't know how we-
clarification, that $1,700, that's not only for state though, right? That's if you attend anything else that costs money as
Correct.
a board member.
Correct.
Like, the South Cook dinners and all of those.
That's
Total,
kind-
you get $1,700.
Does that cover it?
In
for-
total,
I'd have to add it up to see. I think we have looked at it before.
depends on what you do.
I don't have it
Yeah.
on me.
Depends on how many days you stay.
So we'll have to keep a
Depends if you
running
put parking.
record.
Depends
Can you
if,
is there any way you could know where it is in your email?
Know where what is?
What you spent?
Oh, I'd have to look for it.
Okay.
so
Because the conference itself is like,
350.
I was going to say 400, and do you want me to recommend this as a deficit reduction? But there is no need to sign up our spouses, and I think we should stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. Cause are we paying for
think
our
this-
spouse?
All I do is
Policy.
include their names.
Oh, that's not.
We don't. There's no charge for them.
No, there's no charge for them.
Oh.
The room is the room.
They always did. No,
Cost.
they
Well, I
used
know the room is the room, but
They used
as
to
for the park
ask-
conferences, you pay for
Yeah,
spouses.
no, way back when they used to ask, do you want a single room or a double room? and
Yeah,
rates are
that
different.
I know.
They
but
don't do
I'm
that
talking about
anymore.
the conference
And-
itself, where they get the badge.
They
and
don't
the
get the
whole thing.
No,
registration.
they get a badge, but we don't pay for them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I had it. Shut this meeting.
We good on that one?
Okay, so let's recap. Okay. So we say 1,700 total for the year expenditure, and then what's the 12? Okay, the 1,200 is total.
12,000 is total. That's what we were always spending.
Okay.
So we reallocate another 5,000, 2,500 times 2 for national. We do that on a rotating basis. People declare in June whether they're going to the state. If for some reason people don't go to the state and there's extra money, that money can then be reallocated in October for national.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is not completely dedicated to states. So let's say you decide, like John Kirkton would go to the conference but never take a room. He would have $350, $400 out of here. He could allocate the $1,300 to the national. So it's not completely declared to state if you choose not to stay downtown.
Or you could go to
Or
every IASB dinner.
dinner or whatever you do with that money.
So I'm like, okay, so like governing reps are usually the governing reps. They have to go to most of the functions, like the South Cook dinners and meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So you would subtract that amount out of there.
Right.
Okay.
So that might mean not a pre-conference, or it might not mean you park your car, or whatever. There's your budget, however
Yeah.
you want to.
However you want
However you want to split
Yeah.
that budget. If you ride down with somebody, you don't park your car, and
to. Mm-hmm.
Take the train.
They try.
that
Yeah.
$200 can go towards the
Other things.
the other meetings.
And those are transferable funds if so chosen. Now, is that the one that is so chosen by the board that, if the people don't want to go to those conferences, those are transferable?
That 5.
Hmm?
The 5. Oh, I'm sorry.
Extra money
The
can
extra
be
monies
transferred in.
Yeah.
Can be transferred over.
If the grand total equals enough for somebody to go to a national conference.
Well, that's going to be difficult, though.
Why is that?
So I'm not going to state because somebody's getting married and I'm unavailable. But I might go to another training, and I might go to the spring dinner for ISB and
Scope.
whatever those. So we'll have to think about that.
It'll have to be
Yeah, 'cause-
something to keep track of all of it.
Right.
Or, presidents, sometimes they have to go to different things, functions too. Or if you're the more involved you are, the more you're.
I'm just thinking out loud now.
That's why I think it's important to have that piece that she had printed, Lori had compiled, because that way we could see that. So can we,
Which piece are you looking at?
the one that had all the expenditures that we had for the year?
A while back when we tallied up people's stuff.
Yeah,
But
we had tallied up what
that's
everybody.
that's a white. Yeah, I'd have to. I don't even know if I have it in my emails. I'd have to search for it.
Let me see.
But isn't, I understand the point Leslie's making, and I think back to like the teacher's contract. And it seems to me there's, like, if you're president of the IEA, you get extra days off and blah, 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 blah. So should we put something in there if you're I don't know, if you're a scope rep, for example, you're more likely to go to their dinner than if you're not. So should that be charged against?
Or something to the effect of this has no. I want to say this has no bearing, but for lack of a better way to put it, this has no bearing on those who serve as officers and must attend specific functions.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah, like scope and
If you hold an office,
president. If you hold an office,
then
You're expected to
does
those.
that money come out of the same line?
Yeah, it does.
mm-hmm.
Normally, that's what we
Right.
take it out of, yeah.
So if you serve in an office that requires,
I don't want this to become a accounting nightmare.
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
You
Right.
know, and you won't be able to put every what if
Yeah.
into the policy.
Mhm.
You want the policy to be general enough to.
Well, and here's another thought, too. If people have to declare in June that they're going to state, which they do, that's all fine and good, but we don't know what their expense reimbursements are going to be until after the November actual conference. So we can take those dollar amounts, but if you're looking after that to declare the third you can go to national by October 1st, we still don't know what you're going to get reimbursed in November for the state conference.
Well, why don't we give ourselves some room and say you get 1,700, which we assume is going to be that's enough for everybody. Okay, that's
Is that for just for state?
That's your flat fee, 1,700. You can do pretty
that's the
much
base.
everything you want to do with the 1,700. Now you're going to have to make some decisions on pre-conference versus spring dinner versus travel versus all of that. So you get 1,700. If you choose not to go to the state, how about if we roll just 1,000 in there and everybody just continues with the 700? So you don't roll the whole 1,700
Into the national part of it?
into the national.
And that way they have 700 for any other expenditures.
So you're not
that
going
they
to.
might use.
Nobody's
So
going to go
dinners
over
and
700
whatever.
if they don't go to the state conference.
Right.
Can I ask a
Interesting.
dumb question after we beat this up? Does the amount have to be per board member? Or can it just be,
That's what they.
we're putting in
fair
$17,000 for board?
Is that part of the fairness piece, or is that part of the?
Let's look at the policy and see how they say it. If
Well-
there's anything they say.
See, we got, okay, we have two things
Reimbursement for entertainment
going on here.
expenses.
Mhm.
We have our own internal vision and decision of training and development that we're trying to decide on. Plus, we have a law from the state that says we have to do something. We might be trying to overcompensate based on our own individual
Yeah.
personal thing.
Relates expenses through a policy and adopts a resolution as required by law to set a maximum allowable amount per person or for the board.
A maximum total? That's what I read it.
I believe it's
Per person?
per board.
Per board.
Per board.
Total per board.
Well,
Excuse me.
wouldn't it be easier then to say, the policy would say something about participation in conferences and meetings and blah, 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 are set by whatever has been adopted in the budget. There's a line item for boards, right?
Types of school board meetings. I think we are over. I mean, I think according to what this is saying, we are overcompensating for what this says, because it kind of left it. It says you need to maximize what your bottom line is, and we need to know what it is.
At the start of each fiscal year, which would be July 1, the superintendent recommends a maximum allowable reimbursement amount for expenses to be included.
And see, the amount that you gave was based on previous years of
Correct.
participation. Because before 2007,
All board members' expense requests for travel, meals, lodging. So the roll call vote, all board members' expenses for travel, meals, and lodging must be approved by a roll call vote at an open meeting of the board. So before we go to
Right.
state conference, we need to put a line item on the agenda that says we're going to spend X.
Correct.
Oh, God, that's going to be ugly.
The board regulates the reimbursement of all travel, meal, lodging expenses in the district by resolution. At the start of each fiscal year, we'll recommend a maximum allowable reimbursement amount for expenses to be included in the resolution.
This is strictly for board. You don't have
each
to give a
board member
number
elected or
for
appointed
teachers and
to
all.
fill a
Correct.
vacancy.
That's in our contract.
That's in your contract. Money shall not be advanced or reimbursed.
The rest of it all makes sense, and we're all in line with that. It's
Yeah.
we always made sure that we stayed within the budget, and because the budget was
Well,
pretty clear.
wait, then let me go back here. It says, all board members' expense requests for travel, meals, and lodging must be approved by a roll call vote at an open meeting of the board. Don't we do that in the budget? If it's in the line item, at the beginning of the fiscal year, we approve the budget. They want a separate vote. Okay, but still. So here's the number, and the justification is it's in the budget. That's the number we put in the budget. And once you do that, if I'm reading this correctly, when you go along, as long as you haven't gone over that number, we don't have to do anything? Am I reading this correctly?
In the past 10 years, okay, I've looked at this thing. In the past, before I came, it was 2004, I would say 2006 to when did it come on? 2013?
You didn't come in at 6.
I didn't come in 6. Just say, most of the board members... 13. So, most of the board members at the time, you had John Kirkton, who already had a law degree. They have more course offerings right now for board members. They're increasing it because of the demand. They've increased the amount of course offerings. You had John Kirkton, who was an attorney. You had and people that were already. You were already in teaching, and you had been on the board for several years, so you could write the book basically. and you already knew governance, you already knew parliamentary procedures. We got people now on the board that have taken parliamentary procedures and they understand governance because they've been on boards before. You had Bill Brown that had been a mayor and that served in all these capacities, so they already had that information. But now then you have new people that come on that need to learn too, that come along, need to know how to govern themselves, and we set.
But
I don't want to limit. My thing is, I don't want to limit anybody from. I think that's a good number.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
If you're brand new.
okay, he's got it.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah. It was per person.
It is per person.
It is per person.
So on the exhibit, the resolution exhibit, it says, whereas based upon the blah, 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 blah.
For board members and district staff. Ooh.
Okay, so it has to be this number plus whatever you have for the district staff.
But it isn't.
So what's our top dollar? It's $12,000 for the whole board, for the board, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then, how much did you have for the district staff?
I don't know. Tom would have to tell us that.
But I think Bill said it's something like $250 a person.
For the district staff,
Mm-hmm.
$250.
Billy, looks like your phone's still on when you set it down.
I've never heard him call you.
Oh, I didn't say Billy.
That sounds like Billy. It sounds weird.
Submitted expenses that exceed the board's maximum allowable may be approved by a roll call vote. On emergency revenue.
So that was my original
All board
thought.
member expenses must be approved by a roll call vote.
So if we put in the amount, we put the amount at 1,700, and somebody wants to go to nationals, then that becomes a separate board vote,
Mm-hmm.
which is an exception to the policy because it looks like it allows for exceptions.
So you're voting if that person can go or not, or you're voting if?
Yeah, that's the first vote is on all of this stuff, whether we're going to support people going or not, and that's by law.
Yeah. But the tricky thing into that, if we tell you by October 1st and it's election year, and that person doesn't make it,
It just gets canceled.
so it just gets canceled without any.
No, it's in March, right? Isn't it?
It's in March.
Depends.
Yeah, so if it's in March, the election's not till April.
April.
So
Okay.
They used
You
to
don't
be
get
in
a-
April.
you don't get elected.
You don't get elected.
You just waste money.
You waste money. Yeah, because I know plane tickets.
That's
and
the kind of, I think, why the reason was Evelyn said if she knows she's up for re-election,
Yeah, she's not gonna even go.
Anybody who would be up for re-election probably wouldn't go because who knows how it's going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not getting from this that it's by individual. It sounds like it's a board number. I don't know.
So you think board members just means a number?
For board members
And
and
just
Where
district
is that
staff.
so it's just one,
It's not in
Large
there.
One
It's
big
it's
number.
This is a
Which
procedure.
is what we put in the
so it's
budget.
which is what we do anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's here.
Well, no, he's got the actual
Oh, procedure.
resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, I even hate that number because that number,
It's gonna be
it's
big.
going to be a big number. I don't even know how you, because this,
Well, and the other thing is, I don't want that number attached to me. You know,
right.
seriously.
Yeah, right.
You know, so let's say it's $150,000. The only thing people are going to see is the board spending that kind of money, and they're not.
Right.
So
Because you include 500 staff members.
right. who are, does that include like professional development or going to state with the swimming team, and does it include all that stuff? You said they get $250 a year basically
For staff development.
for staff
For
development.
staff development, and then
Okay.
we give another $500 for the department. So if somebody,
Still not a lot.
no.
I mean,
So if somebody goes to
in
their-
totality, it's a lot
Right.
per individual. It's
Correct.
well, you begin to wonder if ISB and different people like that are going to take that into consideration when they look at this law, because we're all, we're all living with it. I forgot my phone. I put it in my pocket. I was such a dork. Huh.
I think we have to figure out all the details first.
See, and I guess my question is, a lot of what we're talking about to me typically would be in procedure.
Policy and procedure.
So the policy is just.
You know,
this is
we get into the
gotcha.
down and dirty details, that
We're
those
doing
are
too
in the,
much procedural.
they're in the procedure.
Yeah.
So,
So, this one.
No, it would include if you got a national. The law took effect
It's not.
January 1.
Yeah, you just fell out of your folder.
but all the resolutions and all of the numbers have not been established yet.
I would, it seemed to me at that workshop that I went to that was, it didn't affect
It's
state,
2 days.
but you'd have to do something
For
for
the
national.
least amount.
For those.
All right, here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna put in a total number. Okay, and get clarification from the attorneys tomorrow. So my recommendation today would be, we're gonna do a total number of what we traditionally spend and not change that.
Okay.
And do the detail work in procedures. So that's gonna be my recommendation.
Okay.
Now, we'll talk through the procedure piece. And if I find something different from the attorneys, I'll let you know that as well prior to the board meeting.
So, okay. So, okay. Okay.
Sounds good?
That's fine.
And
So-
I'll answer all those questions.
So the 250, you said district, when we say district staff, is that for
Teachers.
all teachers and all administrators here?
No.
Or is administrators here separate?
All administrators, that's not part of the JFA contract, that's an additional, and those are $1,000 a piece. So teachers get $250, administrators get $1,000.
And then we have 500 teachers.
3 something.
So that's 100.
350 times
It'd be a
250
big number.
times, well, and it's, 12,000 of a
87,000.
12,000 of a $100,000 number is going to be the board members, but it's going to feel like it's all the board members.
Yeah. Well, it could be wrangled. I could see where somebody could perceive it that way.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And you can see where it will be sold that way.
Perceived and sold.
I mean, hold on to that.
Is that going to be, that piece of paper will not be part of this?
That's an exhibit,
It's an exhibit.
but it is a resolution that would have to be read at a board meeting.
Yeah, exhibits are usually attached to procedures so that we have something to use.
Okay.
But it'll probably be this resolution that will wind up being used for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Board may advance to its members actual and necessary expenses to be incurred while attending. Meeting sponsored by the Illinois State Board of Education by the Intermediate Service Center.
Yeah, those are all things that are acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still, how much are we going to invest in it?
Yeah. The question is the number.
Okay, we're still on page 1.
And
Yeah.
that's
And it's
Moving right along.
Okay.
Okay, done with 2125?
2
20 is this?
2200 is basically part of the Open Meetings Act that we have to do. We did this last year. If you give one individual a raise based on some reason, like April and Renee last year, we
Took over.
gave them more responsibility and gave them more money. You have to post their contract of what you're trying to do for 5 days before you actually do it, which we've done already. So
April.
Nakata,
Okay. She's,
she took over the business and IT department.
left.
Gotcha, I
Additional
remember
work.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
I just
So,
can't remember.
We're good on that one. We're already in line with it before the policy.
Okay, but are we doing it? Okay.
220.
220.
There's
Second
some
page.
change in recommendations, or just not actually changes, just additional information with regard to the information that board members can receive, which we've never denied those anyway, so it's really no change for us. I'm not gonna.
well, there's a change in the top because of vote of abstain or present used to count with the majority. Now it doesn't count at all.
Mm-hmm.
A vote of abstain or present, or a vote of yea or nay, or a failure to vote, however, is not counted in determining whether a measure passed by the school board unless stated by law.
It's kind of confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was always under the impression that an abstention counted with the majority, if there was a majority. And maybe it probably doesn't matter, because,
See, I guess when I read that additional, it's just an additional information is not counted. It's not counted in determining whether a measure has been passed by
Yes.
the school board. It sounds like, to me, I read it sounded like the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like it changed much.
oh, okay. I may
okay.
be reading too much
I'm
into it.
confused. Okay, wait a minute. Let me read this again because I gotta read it out loud. And okay, a vote or of abstain or present, or a vote other than yay or nay, or a failure to vote. So basically, abstain is not counted in determining whether measure has been passed by the school board unless otherwise stated by law. What?
Right now it says,
What
it
it-
used to say not counted. Now it says not counted in determining whether a measure has been passed by the board.
Oh, so it used to say it's not counted? See,
Period.
I always thought
Right.
it was with the,
With the
Right.
majority.
Right, so, but that's where that's where the period is now.
yeah,
Is not
no, it's
counted.
here, yeah,
period.
not counted, okay.
So to
never
me, it
mind.
just felt like
Yeah, I see what you're
it
saying.
was just clarifying it a little more.
Yeah.
And the rest is access to closed session minutes, which we would allow. Good?
Okay.
460, they ask us to put a specific number in what
And there isn't one there.
because I asked Tom. Basically, it's our 5,000 and over purchase orders. That's typically how we do it, so we would just add the number 5,000.
Make it a 5.
That's a very small number.
Yeah, remember it used to be 2,500.
So-
I
Long
think
time
in this
ago.
day and age, a 5,000 is is that enough? I mean,
Yeah, Tom feels comfortable with that, and there's a lot of months where we don't have anything over 5,000. Now, the difference, I forgot to mention this, if it's a routine purchase and it's over 5,000, that's acceptable. If the board's approved it and we're just re-upping what we've done in the past, we don't bring that as separate
so if you have
over
like a 3-year
5,000.
contract.
And it's the annual
Well, no, if
payment.
we're buying supplies over 5,000 and we bought those same supplies last year, we're not going to bring that to you separately. Anything new over 5,000 we bring to you separately.
New purchase orders.
New
Okay,
new
so,
things that
but here's my what if. So let's say that the furnace goes out and you need to put a new furnace in. And
We've
it's
had
gonna
an
cost you
existing-
more than $5,000.
We've had an existing furnace. So, to me, I would say that's not something new
Okay.
and different. If we're purchasing additional software to talk to our parents, like School Reach, when we purchase that, we've never purchased that before.
Okay.
It's a new piece, so
Got it.
we wouldn't purchase that if it's over 5,000 without going to you guys.
Okay.
If it's existing equipment, replacement, that's part of routine.
I'm sorry, you mentioned School Reach. So what is? I mean, I know it reaches out to parents, but
School Reach is when I do a phone message, or the
It
school
goes out
does
to
a phone
everybody.
message to
Everybody.
everybody.
robocall.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
10 years ago, we didn't have that, so when we did that,
For the first time.
we would have to bring that to the board.
Okay.
I don't know, that was just the first example I came up with. And number 2, that's the Dexo stuff, which we'll work to make sure that that's in compliance. And there's a piece about contractors and making sure that they have background checks and things like that.
Do we do that
Yeah.
with like all the building contractors and stuff? They all have to go through background checks?
Mm-hmm. Everybody.
That's expensive.
We write that into, Terry writes that into the expectations,
Okay.
yeah. 480, accounting and audits. There's really a piece in here about, I don't think we need this right now. It's if our IT department builds a house or builds some piece and we sell that piece, we have to have some process for that. So we don't have to worry about that one.
If they build a
This
house
time.
for controls and things like that.
No, like
They-
Lincoln Ways,
Lincoln.
there's
IT.
carpentry students
So
literally
we're not
would
putting
build
this
a
in?
home and then
Mhm.
they'd sell it.
Okay.
So that's,
We're not doing that yet.
we don't do that. They built a greenhouse or something,
Right.
didn't they?
Most of the stuff they build, we use.
Or, yeah.
So we don't sell.
Mhm.
4110 has to do with transportation of foster care. In the new ESSA, there's a lot of information about foster students, so this clarifies the transportation piece.
So foster kids are transported like homeless kids?
Mhm.
Really? Oh.
What cabs and
If they need to be.
if they need to be. Okay.
So most of them will live within the boundaries and we can put them on buses and everything's. If there's a unique situation where they change foster homes in the middle, we have to continue their education and provide transportation during that time. 4175 deals with sex offenders visiting our buildings, which we already do.
Okay, we already do. I think you might want to, you know.
They have to report to the principal's office.
There's a procedure for that.
There's a procedure.
Oh,
So
okay.
if a sex offender, typically it's a parent who is found guilty of a sex offense and they want to come and meet the teacher, they have to announce themselves. And they're given that information when they go on the sex offender list that they're expected. But it's their responsibility. So we wouldn't be held accountable if we had no knowledge and they came on. Fingerprints for student teachers, we already do finger and background checks. We do not do background checks on people that come in for clinical experience. So as you're getting your teacher license, you have to have over 100 hours. So we have people coming and going. They're already checked by their school, so we don't recheck them. And we feel comfortable with that. It's a lot of money. 530.
Hiring process and criteria.
Yeah. We do the state and the federal background check, so we're in compliance with that piece. Dan looks at every background check and routinely tells people that we're not going to recommend them based on the background check. This is advancement of travel for staff. So basically the same
Piece is the
piece, but for staff, and it's a lot of it's the procedure and how we do that. Tom feels comfortable. We do most of this already.
But you're taking out the specifics of $8 for breakfast. Well,
Right.
that was very
Mhm.
personal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Correct. Five 100.
Staff development program, same thing. Okay, gotcha. There is no requirement to add the following list of trainings. However, we believe it may be additional prompt to the required trainings. Are
So
they
what-
adding? Are they adding any more PD for?
The trainings are the same. All this does is list, and Dan has this list already, but it's not officially in the policy.
Okay.
So, this is another one that feels procedure-like,
Mhm.
but we can add it just to make sure. We do all this already,
Concussions.
right?
So
So,
do that.
yeah, we're compliant with all of these trainings already.
Okay.
So it's-
They have to
Are they-
complete an online course for asthma.
we
Yeah.
do that through GCN training, beer
Okay,
GCN
yeah.
training.
I've heard of
Yeah, we give them.
so much more expensive. It's right. It's just
Not a nanny state, not bad.
yeah, right.
5125 takes out some old social media and that was listed, like MySpace. and
Someone's
things
clean
like
up
that.
language.
So, yeah.
Personal technology and social media usage and conduct.
So it's just changing what's the flavor of
Not taking
the
out
day.
BlackBerry.
No.
It'll
I thought
change
that-
next week.
I thought that same thing.
FM. No, sorry, we're not there yet.
On page 2 of FMLA, puts in there some laws that we're required to follow, which we already do. So there's nothing.
The definition of spouse is already.
It's just listing it out for us, but we're already in compliance with that. Teacher qualifications 5190 changes the language from NCLB language to ESSA language.
EN.
ESSA,
Okay.
Every Student Succeeds Act,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll see how long that one lasts.
Oh,
So
boy.
it's just changing of language for there. Sick leave language, it specifies who's family members that are eligible. It lists those out for us. It allows leaves for military service, and if you're elected to the General Assembly or to serve as an officer or trustee in TRS, those are allowable for leaves now by law.
Not IMRF.
Did it say that?
I don't see
It's
it.
spelled out TRS. Number 2.
Number 2.
Leave to serve as an officer of trustee of a specific organization.
I think best is our own name for our union.
No.
I don't know what other name, because it's
IMRF though.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
IMRF. I'm
Or
sorry.
defined
Yeah.
family
I
members.
don't know if we have any officers on IMRF, do we?
No, but if you were, I mean,
If you
it's
were.
like a day-long meeting to
Yeah.
serve on the
Yeah.
IMRF board.
I'm pretty sure we would allow that
Yeah.
as a leave. We would.
I'm just saying they
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
bothered.
list it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Please.
See, I look out for myself, my interests.
Some laws for child sex offender changed. Those are just updated.
That's 5260.
5260.
Yep. 5330. Add some language for protected categories. Same with sick leave. It lists again who's eligible. We're in line with all of this. They add child bereavement leave and election judge leave as being okay, which we would do anyway.
You said election judge leave.
Yep. 615 changes out NCLB to ESSA language. There's a couple of laws regarding PE, an exemption from PE, so that's what 650 is.
Smart snacks rules.
That's part of Sodexo, so we're okay with that.
So they have to be the one that's in compliance, basically.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
They have to guarantee us that they're in compliance. 660 based on law. Yeah, Public Act 99 something or something. We add
99720.
prevention and
99434.
response to bullying into our curriculum. So we don't have a choice, that's by law, we'll do that. And the other piece is a PE piece, exemption from physical activity, which our people are aware of and we've already plugged in, so we're just updating our paperwork. 6140, just some cleanup of language. And for a homeless child, you have to enroll the homeless child if you're in a dispute, which we know and already do. 6145 is new policy dealing with migrant students. So that's pretty self-explanatory there. Good. 6160 deals with English language learners and changes from NCLB language to ESSA language.
And they have to, do our teachers have to take that new class, the PD, for ESL? Is that right?
There's
Yeah,
not a
teacher.
requirement for all, but anybody that we have to hire people to teach our ESL classes.
Okay.
So
But they
not
don't already
everybody-
have to go to take a class?
if they want to teach an ESL program.
Oh, okay.
So the other ones would be under those trainings that
Okay.
we listed before. I'm
Okay.
not sure if I remember if that's in there or not. 6170 eliminates NCLB language and updates to ESSA language. 6300 we've updated to eliminate MIA and some of our internal changes, so that's up to date. 6310 is a big part of the PE, exemption from PE, and how it translates to IEP students. 6340.
Now, on that, are we in their inclusion? They're in the inclusion class for the most part, right?
What do you mean by
PE,
inclusion?
for our PE classes.
They're in our regular PE
Yeah,
classes.
our
Yeah.
PE.
6340 updates our testing policy. 715, we are not doing 715. 715 talks about a change for extracurricular drug and alcohol testing, and we're not interested in that. Our IHSA does that if we go to state competition, because I don't want to get us involved. That's going to be a whole money thing that we don't need to be involved in.
So this is a, we don't have to?
Yeah, we're not going to adopt that one.
So this will not be on the agenda to adopt?
Correct.
Okay.
Right? You got that?
I got it.
All right.
Introduction.
730 deals with changes in Title I in school accountability because of ESSA versus NCLB. 750 is the foster care stuff out of ESSA and allowing the procedure to allow students to enroll without a birth certificate. You don't want to deny them an education. You want to get them in class while you're figuring out all the details.
Okay, so what
Which is
we,
what we do.
that's what we do. So we ask for all this information. If we find out that one piece is not there,
It prescribes how you handle that.
okay, it already gives
Yep.
you the procedure. Okay.
Yep.
All right. We already got that going on.
Yep. 760 deals with residency and challenging a student's residency. It just adds a line on page 2, which is not an issue. 770 eliminates some cleanup language that had some old dates in there that we didn't need anymore. Allows for students to be excused for playing taps at military funerals. Some cleanup language on page 2, so nothing significant there. Some language about student conduct, just some cleanup language. It really doesn't change the policy at all. Page 2, it spells out what an IEP, the word IEP. We're not allowed to use physical restraints and isolated timeout rules. We put that in our policy now.
So we cannot use.
We cannot. We currently don't.
Timeouts. Oh, well, we're high school. I mean, but
Right.
still. And physical
Not
restraints.
in an isolated room.
Isolated timeout.
So you
Isolated.
So
can't
you
put
can-
them in a closet.
Right.
Oh.
You can put them in a corner or things like that.
You can still go to the court.
Mm-hmm. They've been trying to isolate me for years. Okay.
Okay, but what about the special education classes? They still use restraints based on need, right? But that's within
That
the
would be
classroom.
within the IEP.
In the
It's
IEP.
it's not a practice. That would be, this is going to be something necessary for this student on an individual basis.
Wow.
Catch up to myself.
7,250.
This one deals with our nurses in a public act.
Who's a qualified nurse?
This is basically St. Charles is going through that procedures for a healthy school environment right now with their norovirus.
No.
Some more is
With the what virus?
the
Neuro.
norovirus.
Mm-hmm.
Exemption from PE on page 260, some clear up language there. The concussion is 73050. Put in the policy. We've had this
We've been in
implemented.
it.
We've had it implemented for 2 years. We're just cleaning out the paperwork now. 7315. This one deals with school newspapers and basically customizes it to the high schools. The old policy was K through 12, but it gives you some more clear language that's aligned with high school, which we're fine with. Eight, 7, 0. Just updated some language for Title II. And 8100 lists out the community agency, suggests community agencies that we should work with. Instead of just,
It just said organizations and
An
agencies
agency.
before.
it gave you some information on what those could be, which we do. So my only homework is still that one
The
policy.
beginning.
Still that one
I'll
policy.
clean that piece up and I'll give you a call on what I find.
Any announcements?
I have none. Do you have an announcement, Mrs. Jones?
I have none.
There are no announcements.
And it is
None.
We have a motion to adjourn at 5:50.
So move.
Me too. We're adjourned.